Hey guys, it's Explosion, and I just wanted to let you guys know that we did a little bit of a rebranding for the podcast. As you can tell, it's no longer called the Pavlov Scrubs podcast, it's the Virtual Reality Scrubs podcast. And this was so that we could honestly just broaden the topics that I could do. As you can see, we have AexTropical, and you'll get to know him in this episode a little bit more, but it just didn't make sense for me to keep it as the Pavlov Scrubs podcast. So that's what we did. Also, there's a Discord link in the bio description. Join that so that you know every single time that we upload. And if you want to talk about the podcast or even maybe have a shot at joining me on the podcast, all that, all in the Discord. And thank you. Bye. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Virtual Reality Scrubs podcast. I am joined today here by the CEO of Axe Labs, AexTropical. How you doing today?
What's up, Explosion? Thank you for having me, brother.
Uh, Thank you for joining me. So, can you tell me what you did before you developed like VR games and like what led to you getting into VR development?
Yeah, I studied real estate finance, so I was always in real estate finance stuff. I was working in host, what was I? I stuttered. I was working in hotels, hospitality in Miami. And really, what ended up leading to this was just in 2014. My brother's Ood, him and Elizabeth, aka Future Virgo, they had a music label and they wanted to make a really cool VR music experience called Water Planet, which you can still find on Steam today. And I was just kind of helping them out and being a part of it. And that's really when I got into VR for the first time. And it wasn't until 2017 when I first played Onward and then Pavlov that I really fell in love with it. I've been playing shooters my entire life. And I just thought something about being in VR, holding a gun and like shooting people, like it felt like a really good use of VR tech. So I really, really liked it. And Ood had the crazy idea of making a VR first person shooter, and me and Future Virgo got behind it and started working on that. So it was really always a passion project.
Mhm.
All throughout, I had a full time job or I was in college. Gotta make money somehow.
Yeah.
And yeah, in 2020 when COVID came, hotels were kind of dying, as you can imagine, especially here in Miami. Now they're all back, and I'm super happy because I have a bunch of friends in the industry. But yeah, COVID was here. I was just looking at what we had built, the community we had, where VR was going, and I thought it was a perfect time to just go full time into it. So we did. And then we started raising money to get this thing to the next level. And now 2 years later, um, I think we're at the next level. About
Mm.
30 days away from launching, and I'm freaking out, but we're gonna make it happen.
Oh, that's definitely exciting. So, can you dive into Veil VR? Because, I want to know what it's about. Because I know there's a lore, but I'm not really sure what exactly is going on there. So, could you dive into that?
Yeah, I'm definitely not like the lore master in any way, shape, or form. I'm just a guy that likes to play shooters, but super high level. There's two factions right now. One is colonists and one is Rayab. Rayabs are the ones that are all still on Earth. Colonists are the ones that went to space to colonize space. They have different philosophies on next generation of life. So like Rayab kind of want to like make Earth a better place. Colonists are kind of like, let's go explore space and start, moving forward. But there is some resources still on Earth that both, factions kind of want and need. And that's kind of where the the fight comes from. Later on, I'll leak it a little bit. There will be another faction being introduced that will add some extra
Ooh,
spice to it all.
ooh, what are they about? Can you tell me anything about
I,
that?
I can't. I can't. It's not fully
Oh,
finished yet, and
all
I'll
right.
get murdered by
All
the
right.
team.
That's fair. That's fair. All right.
Yeah.
So, diving into like what I've seen you do is you and your team really believe in community feedback and it truly believe that it's a key factor to making your game, so much so that you've been seen going around and asking people to tell them what they do and don't like about the game when they're outwardly spoken about how much they either like or dislike your game. um why do you think that the community feedback is so important in the making of your game and in an industry where feedback is not always heavily considered and is usually taken after a game is released?
I'll tell you why. Because I'm not really a CEO. I'm a gamer. That's why. I've been playing games my whole life, man. I know what it's like. I also was a part of the whole Pavlov and Onward world, and like, they really didn't take feedback too well. And I felt like virtual reality, especially virtual reality, is somewhere where no one really knows like what VR should be yet. We're all working on it together, and I think the best way to make progress in the space is working with the people that spend thousands of hours in VR, like you, me, and a bunch of other friends of ours. So, I felt like I couldn't do it without feedback and community help. It wouldn't make sense to me. So I know it's funny, and it sounds like a lot of other people. They're always
Oh, hello. We lost you. If you can still hear me. He immediately went to AFK. He's probably about to
are you
crash. Oh,
hello?
oh, there we go. All
My
right,
whole thing just kind of froze. I don't know what happened, but I'm
all
in
right,
action.
all right.
Um,
That's fine.
yeah. Long story short, I I don't know how anybody makes VR games without community feedback. Very simply put, it's just there's no standard for VR development or gameplay yet, and it just makes sense to me to do that.
Yeah.
Also, like I have a bunch of friends from Pavlov, Onward Contractors, and a bunch of other games, that have played with me, and we all know what we like and don't like, and working together, it just feels better. Like we know what to focus on, so it just kind of makes sense.
So, are you ever like worried about trying to please everybody, or if not, are you like,
Um,
how do you exactly do you
no.
pick and choose what to take into consideration?
You can't please everyone. That's impossible. But it's more about kind of like majority vote, right? Like the more and more I hear a certain problem or a certain thing that people like, the more emphasis I put on it. So it's not about listening to every single individual by themselves, but more about listening to the community as a whole and getting the general sentiment of like what the majority of people like and don't like, and is it logical too, right? Like
Hmm.
can it be done? Because there are some technical limitations that there's things that I want that I know we can't build because the tech isn't there yet. So it's a mixture of listening to everybody and also making sure it makes sense and it's possible to do.
Yeah. All right. That makes a lot of sense. So, um, you've been talking about these other games, Pavlov, Contractors, Onwards. What exactly is your experience in these games, and what do you like about them, and what don't you like about them?
Um, I like a lot. I mean, I fell in love with VR shooters because of them, but I think that it's just time for something new, really. Like they're all old. Like they're really, really old, and I also think that what they do really well is user generated content. Like every time I go into like one of these games, it's either Halo maps or Call of Duty maps or South Park or Family Guy, and like I think that's pretty cool. But me, I like being a competitive gamer, and I want to get a consistent experience that I know I can play over and over again and start getting better at. So like we're not trying to do all of those like random modded maps. We're gonna let people mod the game and make user generated content using our own assets. So kind of more like a Halo Forge style.
Oh.
But we really focus on official maps, official game modes, and building out an esport ecosystem so that people can actually challenge themselves and get better at the game. So I think that what we're doing is very different from those other games. Like one's a milsim, and then the other two are heavily modded with community content that's like kind of everything, and that's super cool. It's very
Mhm.
novel, and like I still play them today and like experience like maps that my friends make, but there
Mhm.
isn't that one title that you get a consistent experience in every time. And also like we're the only one that's like kind of tried being a little different from the traditional military dudes, like the
Yeah.
marketplace asset thing. So you can see our characters here. Like we really care about art, we care about lore, we have a vision to make co-op campaigns and eventually battle royale and like a bunch of fun things. So
Mhm.
want to really build up our lore and our art assets.
All right. Yeah, because I know that a lot of times Pavlov, its main restriction, because it originally wanted to be a World War II game, its main restriction is that it didn't have marketplace assets that were, World War II. So you guys, going kind of out of your way to make these assets, and, to really make them your own and make them unique is really a cool thing that you guys do for your game. Um, Another thing that I want to ask about for what you do is that the five senses that we have, only three really come into play when it comes to VR, which would be, sight, hearing, and touch. And touch barely ever even comes into play. So, what is AxeLab doing to make the visual and audio parts of the game stand out? And I'm not just talking about like sounds that players can make, but also like music wise.
Are you talking about like the actual music in the game?
Well, yeah, you have music in the I believe you have music when you load in, right?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it, but we were a music label before we were VR game dev. So music and sound is super important to us. Our sound director is amazing, and like if you shoot our guns or like touch things, like it just sounds good. And then, um, our actual like scoring, like our music in game, like in between matches and like in the home, we partner with different awesome musicians that make really cool stuff, and we imagine a future where we can collaborate with even more musicians and have even cooler um not cooler but like even more cool like music in it, and eventually we are going to work on like a social aspect, and I think it would be really cool to be able to like throw raves or you know
Yeah.
have cool music with your friends in Vale. So definitely working towards all that, and music is very important to us. Also visuals are important to us. I mean, you can tell just by the way everything looks, like we really care about making everything our own, and definitely takes a little bit longer, but it feels much more rewarding when you see art that like the team created and worked on together.
Yeah. And that's a big thing because I feel like a lot of times, in the games that you previously mentioned, like COD and Halo, they really are out of touch. And I feel like one big thing is that they really focus on visuals, but when it comes to audio, like music wise, soundtrack wise, I feel like they are really lacking compared to their older counterparts like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, or Advanced Warfare, or Halo Reach. All those great classics of those games, I feel like they're really out of touch when it comes to soundtrack and whatnot. So it's very good to hear that you guys are very invested in having a good soundtrack or even doing the rave thing. That sounds super cool, and I'm interested to see that come out in the future. Um,
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about VR is this, right?
yeah,
Like social. Like I think it's so cool.
it's a way that we can really like interact with each other without having to be next to each other in real life, and that's the great part about it. So it's always
And it's just getting started.
oh, exactly. So was there any point in time where you doubted that you could get this far, or were you confident throughout the whole time of the
Oh
making of
no,
this
bro, I
game?
doubted it the whole time. I still doubt it. I don't even believe it. Like it feels crazy.
Yeah.
Like some people say we have the best VR shooter game, and I'm like freaking out. Like fuck, I don't know, maybe, not sure. Just trying to do our best. It's really about it's really like all like it's a lot of stress. Like this is really stressful, honestly. But
I
I
imagine.
just try to do the best I can do, and as long as I do the best that I can do, the team does the best that they can do every single day, then nothing else matters, right? If you give it your best, but like really give it your best every single day, that's all that we could ever try to do. Like I don't want to put like false expectations or false hopes or anything. Like I don't want to be a downer or anything, right? Like just do the best you can every single day, little by little. Rome wasn't built in one day. And if you have a really cool group of people, a cool community that all believe in the same thing you do, like that's really, really cool.
That's a great way to look about it. Um, so the bug bounty program, what is that exactly, and how did you guys come up with that idea?
Um, Really, there's just a lot of really helpful people in the community. Excuse me. Sorry. There's a lot of people in the community that really were helpful, like submitting bugs like in DMs and things like that. So we kind of wanted to make like a centralized like thing so that we can have like an easier way to manage this. So we created like the bug hunting program, and we got like over 2,000, maybe 2,500
Jeez.
people that submitted at this point, and it's super cool. Like dude, like whenever there's like we are kicking ass on bugs. Like we are destroying bugs right now. Like murdering bugs. Like they might as well call me like I don't even know. I was gonna think of a funny name.
The
I was thinking
bug
of
hunter.
Ghostbusters. I was thinking of Ghostbusters, but that's Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bug hunter, right? Like I'm just out here
The
murdering
bug
bugs all day.
busters. The bug busters. There you go.
Yeah, but it's really cool. Like we have an awesome community of people. They help us fix the game, and they give really useful input. Also, I never thought that I was going to be in the game development business, so I really want to help other people get into it because as a kid, I didn't even know this was a possibility. I remember being a kid and my mom would always just like take me away from the computer and say no more games, that's useless, blah blah blah. And like now games are part of life, part of culture, part of socialization. Now it's a big business too, so like you can make a career in gaming and make other people happy too. So I just want to inspire people to like be able to get into like the games business. And I think getting into QA is like a really good first step. Getting into like community management is a good first step. Getting into content, things like that. So I spent a lot of time like teaching bug hunters, like the more serious ones, like how to properly replicate, how to properly submit a bug, how to give like the right evidence and reproducing steps and things like that. And we've hired some full time already to join us, like like as like teammates. So definitely a really cool way to get into the games industry is QAing,
Oh yeah.
testing and bug fixing.
I feel like a lot of times in the industry, QAing is not taken as seriously, or at least by the upper echelons of companies, like, you know, corporate or whatever. Where like,
I don't
yes,
know.
you
It's
have
all
QA,
important.
yeah,
It's all important.
but I feel like a lot of times they're like, oh, we can just fix that after release. You know what I mean? And I wish,
Yeah,
when you,
VR is a little different,
yeah,
right? Because VR, you have I don't know. For us, it's different. I get what you're saying.
yeah. Well, I respect that you guys really take the bug hunting, I really respect that you guys make it a priority, that you're making sure that these are not ruining the experiences of other people's, gaming in your game.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a question that I really, really want you to answer is what
Oh,
inspired you
good.
to challenge the CEOs of every VR shooter, and did anything ever come out of that video?
Not really. I'm actually pretty disappointed. I was really hoping that Dante or Davils would hit me up. They didn't. I DM'd them, they didn't. And then the contractors people, like I didn't really expect them to hit me up because I don't know, I don't really know if they speak English to be honest.
Hmm.
No shade, just like I just don't think they do.
Yeah.
I think they're I forgot what country they're from. I think they might be Chinese, I'm not sure. So I didn't really expect anything. But yeah, they didn't reply and I was kind of annoyed. Like I did DM both of the other ones and they didn't really hit me up. The main point of that though, that video was really I want like game studios and like game executives to just play their games, because if they played their own games, they would know what's wrong with it. I can play a 1 hour pug with some like Veil esport friends and see everything wrong immediately, right?
Yeah.
But like if you don't play your game, then you're not going to see anything wrong. And then the longer it takes to like see things that are wrong, the more technical debt you accrue, and then it gets harder and harder to actually fix these things. So I like to play almost every day, and on the weekends I play a lot, just so I can always know what's happening in the game, and it's fun, obviously too. but
Yeah.
like I have to.
Yeah, I get that. It's kind of disappointing because I was really looking forward to, and it was a really great video too. It was really funny.
Doctor
So
Doom from Live challenged me, but he's not an FPS, CEO, so I
fair
don't think we
enough.
could do
But
it. He
um,
is competitive though. He's very competitive.
yeah. So, so moving to like the land real quick, what was it like? And for lack of better words, is how I'm describing it. What was it like to have a bunch of oh shit, we might be fucked moments, and then in the end to have it all really work out?
Bro, I like cried like too many times. I thought like I still don't believe it worked. Like I still can't believe it worked because the hurricane was like the number one thing that was like super fucking us.
Yeah.
All the suppliers and vendors showing up late, like oh my god. I don't even know what to tell you, man. That was like probably one of the most stressful points in my life was like that event. Um, but it worked, and I'm very happy. And I feel like the VR gods are with us. Like
Yeah.
I don't have any logical, rational explanation to why it worked. So I'm gonna say that it's the VR gods because it should not have worked. Like so many things went wrong that it should not have worked, but it worked. So I'm happy, and we are gonna work on making it even better. It was only possible. We got so lucky, man. Like we had over 100 people fly in, pay for their own flights, pay for their own hotel, show up and just start working. Like literally like I felt bad, right? Like they were just working like as volunteers, and it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for that, right? Like I couldn't have counted on that, but that just happened. That was like the first moment that I said, "Wow, we have the craziest community. Like this is amazing." and hanging out with these people in person and like just everybody being so down to help and work. It's just crazy. Like it motivates me and the entire team even more to like continue killing ourselves to get this thing like pushed forward.
Yeah, and I mean it was because it was kind of crazy to really because I was watching the like most of the tourney. It was kind of crazy to see that you guys had so many problems and you were still able to overcome them. And that's something that I really like to see is when game devs or even the IVRL people, when they have a problem come up, they're in hot water and they don't just kind of flip out and make the wrong move. You know what I mean? It's a test sort of to really see what you guys are capable of when you're really, coming down to it. When the hammer's really beating down on you, what are you guys going to do to make sure that everything can work out to the best of your ability? And I think you guys did pretty damn well. It was a pretty good event.
Thank you. That really means a lot, Explosion. I appreciate you very much for that.
Yeah, no problem. Of course. It was a
We're
great
excited.
event.
We're gonna do more.
I'm hoping you guys do. I something
Oh,
else about the event. What did you guys do with all the custom veil stuff after
it's
the
all in the
event?
office right now.
It's
It's all
all
in
in
the
the
studio.
office. Are you
Yeah,
like
we're gonna make a new studio tour video soon.
Oh, okay. So you
You get to
guys
see it all.
like because in the video it was mentioned that you would use like the casting desk as like the the front desk for the
That
assistant or
one
whatever.
broke
Oh no.
on the way out, so that one's not in our studio. But we have the chessboard, we have the teddy bear, we have what else do we have?
You have the costumes on
Chessboard.
mannequins?
We got like a little merch store set up now. Yeah, we have like the banner.
Hmm.
We have a few things. I'll make. I won't leak it all. We're gonna make a studio, like
All
a
right.
new studio tour video, and it's gonna come out really cool. And then we use like I don't know if you saw, but there was like all these like white styrofoam things.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. I keep yawning. Fuck.
It's all right.
I haven't slept in a little bit.
You're a
Um.
busy working man.
Yeah. What do you call it? Yeah. We have all these like cool styrofoam dividers that we use for the event that like we're redoing the office with, and it's gonna look really cool.
That's pretty
I'd say we're
sick.
like 80% done.
Already? I
Yeah, like
guess.
renovating it. I mean, we've been working on renovating the office since October 1st, like the day after the event. So it's been like
Oh
2 weeks.
jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want
I
to like get it all done.
can't even believe it's been that long. 2 weeks since the event. It feels like it just happened last weekend.
Yeah.
Um, so do you ever find that you and the Veil team ever have to compromise on something when you really want to get something out, but it just really doesn't seem like it's gonna work and you have to like ditch it or
Oh, all the time. All the time. Trial and error and testing a lot all the time.
can you tell me about anything that you've like really wanted to do that it just didn't seem like it was gonna work out?
Uh, zip lines. We were stuck on zip lines for like 6 months, and then we finally got it. Melee, we've been stuck on for a year,
Mm.
but we're close. Um, those are two big ones. Jump pads, we got stuck on a little bit, but we made it happen. Melee is the one that we're working on right now that has been very frustrating, but I feel like we're finally close, even though I've said this for a year, but I feel like we're actually finally close.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, that's understandable that you would have to compromise. And cuz you think that the imagination is really the limit, but then sometimes it can be like the game engine or really just is this
There's just a
viable in this
budget.
game?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like a budget on like, you know, computers for like VR and that budget
Yeah.
usually is what hits us.
All right. Uh, why did you decide to make Veil, its main focus of the game, the competitive aspect?
One, I love competing. I think it's really cool. I also think that by focusing on the competitive aspect, you can build a lifelong game community because people want to invest. Like, I'll give you an example. World of Warcraft, I put in thousands of hours. Call of Duty, thousands of hours. Counter Strike, thousands of hours. Right? Why? Because they've been around forever. There's a competitive community. Even though I'm a casual player most days, like I still know that this is going to be here 5, 10 years from now. When
Yeah.
new games come out and they're kind of like arcadey, like yeah, I play and it's fun, but I know I don't expect it to be there forever. So I look at time as the most valuable thing in the world. And when people spend time in your game, they're investing their time into what you've built. And I want them to know that their investment is going to be worth something years from now, right? And how do you make it worth something? By building a long-term sustainable franchise and community. And I think that the competitive aspect is something that really drives that. Also, the competitive aspect makes it so a lot of new people like Counter-Strike teams, Rainbow Six teams, Valorant teams, like all these teams can now get into VR for the first time. And I
Yeah.
think that's really fucking cool. So I definitely want to get more people into VR. And I think tackling the esports scene is going to get more people into VR because these people already have crazy rigs. They already are core gamers. Like,
Yeah.
like it's a good market to get new people into VR.
Yeah. I can totally agree with that. And speaking of more competitive things, what do you think VR esports needs right now, and what do you think makes a competitive VR FPS viable?
So I think that we're actually in a really good position right now, especially after the tournament that we just did. I think all we need to do is continue building out the community. So like having, we're gonna start off with season 1 starting January. I'm working on that with IVRL. Um, that's pretty much it, right? Like just we already did the hard part. Now it's just about polishing and building out the community. What I'm working on, on the back end is I'm talking to major esport orgs, um, showing them what we did and getting them to commit teams to our league. And that's like probably going to take about 12 months, I think. But, slowly I'm going to be bringing in all these big names. And then if I bring the big names into what we're doing, it just brings more attention to what we're doing, more competitive players, bigger prize pool, more sponsorships and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. So, you know, Vale's competitive game mode is a one life S&D game mode. Why did you choose this format over, say, like a respawn mode?
So we're going to add different game modes, and a lot of other different types of competitive game modes that we're going to try out. But Search and Destroy has just kind of been like the game mode for like, you know, pretty much almost every game that I've played competitively. So maybe it's a little biased, but it just seems like that's the game mode that most players are already familiar with. And VR is already such a new thing that we wanted to do things like step one is do things that people are already familiar with, get them used to VR, and then step two will be going crazy and experimenting with like new things, which I'm pretty hyped on.
Yeah.
That's why we went super basic. Team deathmatch, search and destroy. Now we're gonna do capture the flag, and then we have a lot more crazy things that we don't even have names for because we don't know what to call it, but
Oh,
they're coming.
oh, that's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I when it comes to like the competitive game modes, S&D, like I've also played Counter-Strike. I have 2400 hours in Pavlov, most of those being put towards competitive game modes and whatnot, or the competitive S&D side. So it's definitely like I would agree, for a competitive game, it's definitely a bread and butter. It's kind of
Yeah,
game mode
yeah.
for when it
S&D is
comes to
just
that
kind of like the
competitive
move,
aspect. Yeah. So,
but we have some other ideas. We'll try them out later when the time's right.
mm, I so you've mentioned in the past that you have connections with the mayor of Miami and Miami SWAT team. How did you come across those relationships, and what has come to fruition because of them?
Yeah, yeah, so the mayor of Miami is a really good guy. We're close friends. I super love him. Like what he's doing for the city is amazing. I met him by going to random events in Miami. Like he was doing a lot of like Miami tech events, and I just went to a lot of them. And then there was this one thing he did where he started a charity uh called How Can I Help, which is basically, you can donate money or buy like merch that all this money goes to like underprivileged kids to give them like access to good hardware, like computers, so they can like, do tech. And I thought that was really cool. And I bought like 100 of those shirts, right? And I gave them to everybody. And then he just thought it was funny that I wore that shirt every day for like a year. And then we just became friends, and he saw what I was doing. He thought it was really cool. He helped me out by introducing me to a lot of good people in the city to like help build like the tech ecosystem. He introduced me to investors. We hosted some events together to like spread VR around. Thrill Seeker was able to interview him also for a Miami video. And we're still friends. Like we talk pretty often, actually, like probably like once a week. I really like him a lot. I think he's a really good guy. I think he cares about pushing tech forward. He's really smart. Like he said, look, the future of society is going to be tech. We need to teach, tech to the next generation of kids, and he's really focusing on like neighborhoods that don't have access to like really good computers and things like that. He wants everybody to have access to it, and I think it's a really good cause. And I'm a big fan and of what he's doing in general. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, he seems like a great guy by the way you describe him, and seems like you've gotten a lot of, I wouldn't say help, but a lot of things have come out of that relationship, and it seems
Oh
like
yeah, he's been super helpful.
it's a very important relationship for Axe Labs.
He's super helpful guy. Whenever I need anything, he's there, and I try not to bother him, but you
So,
know,
so
he's
what
always there.
about so what about the SWAT team? How did you meet those people?
That was through the mayor. The
Oh,
mayor
was it through
introduced me to some
Mayor?
people, and then I was able to meet like some really awesome SWAT team people that I invited them over to the studio a few times, and they give us a lot of feedback on the weapon handling, the scopes, like grip positions, animations, reload mechanics, things like that. And they're very helpful too, like super helpful. And then they also take us like shooting sometimes. They have like a private range, and
Mm.
like we can bring our teammates there, like our X Lab team, to like go shoot guns. Especially a lot of people on the team that never shot a gun before. So I think it's pretty important to shoot real life guns if you're going to be making virtual reality guns, just so you can at least like know what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Um, do they like your game? Do they like really
Yeah,
enjoy playing the
yeah. They
game?
thought it was really. I was surprised. They
Do
really
some of
liked it.
do some of them
They
have
thought it
their
was
own
really
rigs
cool.
at home?
No, no,
No.
no. I think like two
No.
of them bought like a Quest, but we're not on Quest yet. So
Yeah.
a lot of people they buy the Quest 2. If they're not real hardcore gamers, they buy the Quest 2. Like, how do I play Veil? I'm like, you can't. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you need to get a PC, a gaming PC, and they're like, they get
Yeah.
mad.
That's a lot of things. They're like, I bought the Oculus or the Meta. I bought the Oculus. Like you have to ask
Yeah.
them which one, and then they tell you it's a Quest, and then you have to break the sorrow news to them that they can't
Yeah,
play
I
with
always feel
you
bad. It just
or
happened today. One of my friends is like, I just ordered the Meta Quest Pro. Can I play your game? I'm like, no. He's like, but it's supposed to be the best. I'm like, I'm not on the Quest store. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that like, I want to get into because you said before that you really like, the main reason why is because you don't want to have to compromise on graphics. Do you think standalone will, in the near future? I'm not talking 10 years. I'm talking
I think
maybe
Quest 3
5
is
or
gonna be
3.
not even. I think Quest 3 next year is gonna be really good. That's
You
that's
think
what I'm betting
so?
on. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Quest Pro. I think the Quest 3 is gonna be the same thing as the Quest Pro, maybe a little bit better, but $400. And the Quest Pro is fucking amazing. So I'm excited.
You've tried out the Quest Pro.
Yeah, I was
How
able to
did
try it. It's really good.
how does it feel compared to any other headset that you've tried before?
It just feels good. It looks good. It's lighter. The quality is fucking sharp. Everything's good. Like it just feels good. I didn't get too much time with it. Spent like 20 minutes with it, but we ordered some, so hope to have them in the studio soon. I want to try playing Veil on it.
Hmm. So, you were asked previously in another podcast if people complained about features that weren't in Veil that are in their favorite VR games. You responded no, but there are people out there that are like that. What would you say to someone that is accustomed to how one game feels that is on the fence about joining the Veil community?
um, I think every game's supposed to feel different. I feel like they're not supposed to be the same. That's just really it, right?
Yeah.
Every game is supposed to be different. And if you want to play a new shooter in 2022, we're the only thing. So you either give us a shot or I don't know what you're gonna do. Go play like a 5-year-old game. Like it's
Yeah.
like there's not much like there's a long period of time where people were like, oh, you should have this from Pavlov, you should have that from Contractors, you should this from Onward. I'm like, guys, like we're making our own game.
Yeah.
Now that kind of stopped. Like I think a lot of the community members trust us more now, and like they don't really ask for that anymore. And they're like, okay, now you know what's funny? I sometimes go into other Discord communities and I type in Veil, and I see like them telling other game developers, you should do this from Veil. Like they finally like it changed, like now it's
Yeah.
like Veil does this, you should do this instead of before. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
as we add more stuff and more quality of life features, like no one likes to bend down, right? Like how
Yeah.
you can pick up guns in Veil,
Yeah.
dude. No game really has that, and it's so annoying. Like I put in one of my
Oh.
friends today into another game, and he was bending down. He's like, "Bro, I can't do this." I'm like, "I know." And
Well,
then the artificial locomotion with the artificial crouching, like there's a lot of little things that I imagine are going to become standard in every game eventually.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think I can't count how many times I've been, tried to pick up the bomb in Pavlov only to pick up my pistol or my knife because I can't just force grab it. That's a very, very annoying thing, and it's something that it's not even just useful to someone like me, but to someone, I have a friend. His name is Jazzy, and he's handicapped. He can't bend over, so there's been moments where like he
Yeah, so
can't
we
pick
built
up
it
the bomb
because
in
there was a VR
Pavlov.
esport player that was in a wheelchair, and we wanted to get them the ability to play the game, and that's like how we started that, right?
Yeah,
And now it's just like an amazing quality of life feature for everybody. It's accessibility, quality of life. It's just good. So I
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah. I think it's a very important feature to have. It opens accessibility. Um, So you went paintballing with some of the Veil team a little over a month ago and uploaded a video to YouTube. And in that video, you feature an interview with level designer John Cletus, someone who is
John
an
Cletus.
idol to the Pavlov S&D community. What can you say about how you got John on the team, and what can you tell us about, if anything, what he's like cooking up in the studio?
Dude, John Cletus is a legend, and I love him to death. And he's so good, and he's just an amazing human being for VR. Like he was built to make VR maps. Like he just really was. He's cooking up a lot. He's got like 4 or 5 maps in the making right now. He gave me a little sneak peek the other day. He's cooking up a lot of stuff. I'm really excited. A lot of like smaller close quarter combat, capture the
Mhm.
flag maps, some 1v1, some 2v2 arena maps. Like he's got a lot of stuff coming, and I'm really excited. And really it was simple. Like I was a big fan of him. I saw on Twitter free John Cletus. I was like, what the hell happened to my dog free John Cletus? Like he never did anything.
Yeah.
And I just called him up and I was like, bro, you want to work with us? And he was like, fuck yeah, I do. And I was like, cool. And he lives in Florida too. So just drove on down for an interview, and he never left the interview. He just stayed. And he's
Yeah,
great. I really love him.
cause I remember DMing you when this happened. I was like, you should pick him up, or I was like, or if you do pick him up, then you should really let him do, what he can do, because he's really good at what he does. And you're like, I've already picked him up. You're like late, and I was like, oh shit, I am excited. I said this
There was
makes me
like 10
way
people. There was
more
like 10
excited.
people that DM me at the same time, and I was like, "Yo, I'm on it, boys. Like, I got
Yeah,
this."
you're already 10 steps ahead of us. You saw
No,
this,
and
and
he's
you're
super
like,
cool. Like, he's just a
oh yeah.
cool dude, and he's really good. He's good, and he's cool, and he's a Florida guy. Like it couldn't have been any more perfect.
I also heard he's like a big workaholic in the studio too. Like he's
Honestly,
putting
yeah,
a
yeah. I have to
lot of
kick him out.
hours.
I have to kick him out sometimes because he just works too much, and I don't think it's healthy. We all do, but he's probably one of the top workaholics, and that's saying something coming from X Lab because everybody's a workaholic. But
Yeah,
he's really up there.
yeah. So when it comes to like map design, how many people are like really working on the map design? Like, do you have just John Cletus or somebody else who's working on like level design and assets, and then another guy that's like being like, oh, this is this would make competitive sense or just any sense,
It's
um,
a very collaborative effort. We got a lot of people. We have 2 concept artists, 2 level designers, a creative director, chief creative, 3D modelers. We got it all. Like, and they all work together and they all play the game a lot. And it's a very iterative process where you got to test a lot. So
yeah,
a lot of testing.
of course.
It's a lot of
Of
testing.
course. So what is like the chain of command like? Does it start at like the concept artist and then maybe they move down? Like how
To be
exactly?
honest, it's not like maybe it should be like that, but for us it's very random. Like
Like
we
whatever
come up with
happens?
ideas. Yeah, like we just come up with random ideas and we start working on it, and we try to focus on one thing at a time just to actually get them done. But the idea can start from anyone and it can end with anyone. So
Mm,
it's just really random. And then sometimes we have to like, update certain maps and things. So it's like a lot of bouncing around and just getting things done.
mm. All right. So you mentioned that you used to play Call of Duty and Halo,
I
both of
still
which
play them.
at their peak were phenomenal games. What do you think of the current titles like COD Vanguard and Halo Infinite? Is there anything
uh
that you think these titles are doing good or bad that you're taking
I
lessons
mean,
from?
I'm playing Halo Infinite every night. Like I love it, but I honestly think that they just didn't deliver everything that they promised they were going to deliver. And I think it has to do with the COVID thing. COVID like kind of slowed down development. I think it has to do with business people saying the game, ship it now. I don't care. I still like Halo Infinite. I play it every day. It could be way better, but they're just missing content. Like the content they have is really well done. It's really polished. It's just they're missing content.
Mm.
Call of Duty, I kind of stopped playing regular multiplayer. I play Warzone like a lot. Like I really like
Oh, okay.
Warzone. I think it's probably my favorite battle royale. I did play a little bit of the beta. When the what's it called? Is it Modern Warfare 2 or
Yeah,
Vanguard?
Modern Warfare 2, the beta. They just dropped I think early access for the campaign too.
Yeah, I
So
think so. One of my friends was telling me that. But yeah, I played the online one. Like, I didn't care too much about the online 5v5 thing. Like, I like the Warzone thing much more. So I'm gonna stick with Warzone. Call of Duty. Halo just has really fucking cool game modes, man. Like Oddball's fun, Capture the Flag's fun.
yeah.
Call of Duty doesn't have any of that.
No, it doesn't. It used to in the like jetpack ones, they used to have like some super cool
Yeah.
ones like uplink where you could like run the ball across the map and like throw it into the goal, but without that advanced movement, you can't, you're really limited on what you can and can't do. And I feel like a lot of times they lack creativity, especially in the COD titles, where it's like they don't really when they do try to do something new, it's on something that people really didn't want to be changed, and then when they don't do something, it's like something that everybody wants to be changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I find that a massive problem. Were you ever like a big zombies fan? Did you ever play like Black
Oh
Ops
yeah,
Zombies?
Call of Duty Zombies, bro, was my shit. Like that was
That was my
amazing.
childhood. It
Yeah,
was
I loved Call of Duty Zombies. Like just playing with my friends, like like at my house, like that was super fun. And we're working on our own kind of like zombies type thing, but it's not gonna be
ooh.
zombies. It's gonna be wassies, but it's gonna play like similar to that.
You're gonna have like Easter eggs that people can get finished
Oh
and
yeah,
maybe.
oh yeah, oh
Ooh,
yeah.
ooh.
We're gonna have like a whole wave shooter with wassies. It's gonna be really cool.
What exactly is a WASI?
A wassie is a platypus. I don't know if you ever
Okay,
saw like the partnership we did with wassies.
I don't think so.
You go to wassipedia.org.
Okay.
They have a whole Wikipedia thing for them. It's called Wassipedia. They're
All
basically
right.
these like platypus creatures that are really annoying and you need to kind of, exterminate them. So it fits into the lore of like massive wassies. And like the cool thing about wassies is they come in all shapes and sizes. Some are really small, some are gigantic, some are medium. They like to eat ramen noodles and microwave it.
What?
They're really, really cute, but annoying pests that must get exterminated. And something about killing wassies, it just feels right.
All right. So, uh, moving on. Some VR shooters get a bad rep from professional gamers that play pancake games. A key example being Shroud. How does that make you feel? And is there ever any thought that the people that play like Counter-Strike or Valorant are sometimes part of your target audience?
I just think that there hasn't really been a VR esport title yet, so I feel them. None of those games are ready, and I think that we're not even really ready for like the shrouds yet, but we're definitely the furthest along, and I think we have like a solid, 6 to 12 months of convincing like big orgs to like give us a shot, and then
Hmm.
hopefully sometime in 2024, like that's when the shrouds will be like, oh wow, like this is the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it was a big. It felt, I wouldn't say like a big blow, but when you have your favorite VR game, right, and then this person that you're like, oh, I respect this person, and then they start like they dislike your game, that is not the most perfect thing, but they dislike your game. It really feels like, I wouldn't say hurtful, but it's definitely a little sad that you won't be able to see these people enjoy the game the same way that you do. So that's something that
Yeah.
I'm hoping, with Veil, that these people that are more used to like less VR games but still super big in the competitive aspect of other games, I'm really hoping that they when they give it a try, if they do, that they really do enjoy it, cuz it's a game that I definitely enjoy. It's definitely a lot of fun and I definitely need to put a lot more hours into it. Um
Wait for November 17th. That's when the fun starts.
oh, okay. Um So, something that I don't have written down that I actually just kind of thought of, are you guys expecting to do any holiday related events coming up once you release the beta, like maybe a Christmas event or something like that? Or is that
Yeah, we have
something
a
that
we
you
have
want to push out later in the future?
Yeah, we have like a Christmas update that we want to do. I just don't know how far we're gonna get into it.
All right. All right. Well, uh, moving on from that one, I there was a YouTube short of T-Pain using the zip line in Vale. How'd you get in contact with him, and what was it like showing off your game to him?
I actually didn't get in contact with them. Someone randomly wrote to me and said, "Hey, T Pain wants you to play your game," and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" So I think there's just community members that were like messaging him, and then I think his manager hit me up, so I gave him keys.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, he's a super cool guy. Super cool guy, loves VR. He has like 3,000-4,000 hours on Steam VR, so I super respect
What?
that.
Because I know he's a gamer, like he's a Twitch streamer and everything. Like I know he likes to play video games, but I didn't think he was into VR like that. That's kind of crazy. I did not
Yeah,
know
no,
that.
I was super shocked. I thought he was a gamer, and then yeah, like he was screen sharing or something, and I saw like 3,000-4,000 hours on Steam, and I was like, wow, like that's crazy. Like Steam VR specifically.
Yeah. So that's a thing. That's how you know that people are really invested in the Steam or like VR games. You just look at their Steam VR hours.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I love that you can see Steam VR hours. It's super
yeah,
cool
it's super
because it just
nice.
yeah, it puts like the sum of all the hours spent, which sometimes I get scared when I look at.
Yeah, I show a lot of my like in real life friends like how many hours I have in Pavlov, and they're just like, "What are you doing? Are you okay? Are you eating enough? And are you getting enough sleep?" And I'm just
They
like,
don't understand. This is the future, bro. They don't
this is
understand.
it's a grind. It's definitely a grind to become the best. I'm hoping that I can put myself out there when it comes to esports for Vale, because I definitely tried with Pavlov. I got pretty far up there, but not exactly where I'd like to be. So I'm hoping Vale's something that I can give another shot
I'll
at.
be rooting for you, bro.
Oh,
I'm
thank
hyped
you.
on that. I think
So
you'll do pretty well.
I appreciate that. So, do you ever think about reaching out to YouTubers that have VR and play FPS shooters like the War Arrow, Swagger Souls, Anomaly, to have them play against each other? Because some of these, people, the War Owl, I don't know if you know who that
I
is.
love the War Owl. Love
So
him.
yeah, so he's actually had a video where he's playing with people from the VRML Pavlov people back in, I want to say 20 I want to say it's 2020 or 2019, somewhere around there. And
Wow.
he was playing there, and he realized that he was really outclassed, but he was still having a really fun time messing around and trying out the guns. So do you ever think that you want to reach out to these guys, maybe have them fight against each other for a big promotional event or something
I
like
mean,
that?
yeah, eventually I'd love to, but for now I'm just really focused on making the best thing I can for like the VR community, and when the time is right, I definitely can't wait to get to all that.
Yeah, that's
Just not
something.
there yet.
Yeah, it's something that I always looked forward to, was like seeing my favorite YouTuber or something, playing the game that you're playing, and even because a lot of times, when Swagger Souls is streaming, like you can tell what server he is on in Pavlov, like like, oh, that's that server or that's this server. Let me try to go in there. Let me go meet him. So it's super cool because it's more of a niche community right now in VR. It's a lot easier to be able to join a game and try to find like a YouTuber like that. So it's super it's super exciting to really see the future and see what it's going to be like for YouTube and content creation. Um,
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. I have
moving.
to do a big shout out to Live, by the way. If anybody
Oh
wants to
yeah.
make VR content, better be using Live.
Ooh, hey, you heard it here. So
You heard it here first, folks.
exactly. So you guys released NFTs, and not everybody was super psyched about them. Kind of sketched out. Can you kind of tell us why you went down that route, and what do you plan to do in the future with the NFTs, if anything?
Yeah, yeah. Super simply put, I feel like a lot of people are doing NFTs and like making like just scams or like very bad projects, and I wanted to prove that you could use the technology to actually make something legit and real. So I think that we did that and accomplished it.
Mhm.
It also helped us, raise a lot of money that helped us, hire more people, pay the people that already work with us to build out the game. So that was also super beneficial. And the truth is, I don't know whether crypto and gaming or NFTs, it might be a thing, it might not be a thing. I'm not sure, right? But
Mhm.
the same way that a lot of people made fun of me for VR when I first started in 2014, I have to be a tech forward thinking guy, right? I have to be open minded, and I don't like being closed minded. A lot of people made fun of the internet. A lot of people made fun of cell phones. A lot of people made fun of VR. Like people make fun of things, and then one day it might be a thing. So
That's
definitely
annoying.
wanted to plant our flag as forward thinking, technologists. And you never know. It might be the biggest thing in the world. It might not be, but we shot our
Yeah.
shot, and we're here. We're still working on it. We're not going anywhere. We're not a scam, right?
Yeah.
So
Bless
oh,
you.
excuse me. So that's really it. Also we really like pets, like Pokemon pets.
Mm,
So saw a good opportunity to
yeah.
make that happen.
So, you know, when it comes to the excuse me, let me find my wording here. Sorry. When it comes to playing your own game, is there ever like any time where like somebody really like not somebody, but the community largely dislikes something that you're doing? Um or not, I wouldn't say dislikes, but maybe it's just a feature or something that they don't really agree with, but you really enjoyed and you have to really choose between what you want and what the community wants, or have you not found yourself in those positions?
One more time, say it again so I can understand fully.
So, like, is there ever been like a feature or like something else where like you've really enjoyed it, but like the community was not really on the same page as you, and you really had to
Mm,
like pick between community or what you really like?
not really, because I try to take myself out of the equation, right? Like
Mm,
I used to early on get like obsessed with certain things, and I realized like I'm not the majority. Like I need to talk to a lot of people. So like I kind of get my feedback from the community and work on that. I don't just go work on stuff without talking to the community about it first.
yeah,
And I'm also a hardcore gamer too, so I'm not like that off either, right?
yeah.
Like
Well, I
not like
wouldn't
a 50,
expect you to be.
60-year old like old like guy, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
27. I play games. Like I know it's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So that's pretty good. It's good not
Just
to
want
be in
just
that
want everything to
situation.
be fun. There's only one rule. It has to be fun.
Hey, that's a great way to look at it. And that's the end of my questions. We moved through those pretty quickly. I appreciate
Oh, really?
you. Yeah, I appreciate you
Cool.
coming through and
Oh, there's no
doing this
problem at
for
all,
me.
brother. I
You
just
know,
want to say thank you so much, Explosion. I really appreciate you for doing this for the VR community. I'll definitely be shouting it out to the community as well. Once I
thank you.
like, I'm assuming you're gonna post it later.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to post it later, see if there's anything that needs to be edited, and if not, then I can
Awesome.
upload the raw footage. If not, then it takes me a little bit,
That'll be a
but
little bit. Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm super hyped to see you season 1.
Ooh, yeah. We'll see. I'm gonna try to grind this game out. Put in the 80-hour work weeks like I did with Pavlov, just non-stop playing. That's an actual thing. It's not a joke. I actually.
I gotta play with you at some point too.
Oh, dude, totally, totally. So,
I owe you that for sure.
oh, I appreciate it. I wanted to make a bet with you, but I didn't know if you would really be into it.
What's
You
the
want to
bet?
hear? You want to hear it? All right. So, me and you, one v
Mm.
one in Vale. If you win, I'll go around my college campus promoting Vale, and I'll even, if you want me to like dress up in like some costume or something, I'll do that too. And if I win, I get a spray in the game.
You get a spray in the game.
Mm.
I will talk to the team and see if that's possible, and I will make you that bet.
Ooh,
That
that
sounds like
might
a pretty fair bet.
that might be something that I upload later. Then that'd be pretty
Yeah, I need
cool.
to talk to the team though, just to see where we're at with like the spray art pipeline right now.
All right, all right. Well,
You have a picture of what you want your spray to be?
no clue. I didn't even think you were gonna take the bet, but I'll
Send me a picture. I can't confirm it until I talk to the team. Send me a picture or like an idea of what you want, so I can like be like, hey, like, can we get this skin in the game? And
all
then
right,
I'll get you an answer.
all right, all right. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. All right. Well, you have it here.
I
Me,
appreciate you, bro, very much.
me and AexTropical gonna 1v1. All right.
All right, brother. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for coming out. This has been the Virtual Reality Scrubs podcast, and I've been your host, Explosion, my guest, AexTropical, and I will see you later. Bye.